What's up, everybody? It's Schmitty. This is Talkin Schmit. And this one today is special. It's dedicated to anyone and everyone that's helped make San Francisco and the Bay a better place. You know, I got mad love for the 415, the black and orange. We got the Giants, Niners, Warriors, Steph Curry. We got Thrasher Magazine. We got the Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz. List goes on for days. The people are endless, and got a lot of pride here. All right, I've been holding it down in Hunters Point, Bayview at Thrasher Magazine for over 20 years. That's just probably about 12 blocks from Harbor Road, where my next guest was born and raised. And this is Black Sea from the RBL Posse. But before we start, I got a few things we got to go over real quick. First of all, the show is brought to you by the good people at Manscaped. Support for Talkin Schmit is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming, champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, kids. It's the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. We're going to give you 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code
shout out
at manscaped.com. Just type in the code shout out and the rest is smooth sailing. Imagine shaving with a sleek, well-designed and optimized trimmer that makes shaving time your favorite time in the bathroom. I'll tell you this, I'm one of the first people to try the new 4.0, and I'm blown away by the performance. The craftsmanship and details on the 4.0 are next level. The 4th-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. That's right, kids. Advanced skin-safe technology. Now you can feel confident shaving those family jewels. Did I mention wireless charging? Men, if you've been shaving with the same nut trimmer on your face, you've been doing it wrong. No person wants to end up with pubes in their mouth. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code shout out at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code shout out. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
Shout out.
Also, we got a news break. Guess what city is the first in the state of New York to carry Talkin Schmit? Drum roll, please. It's Jamestown. Big love, Jamestown. I think you should have the box probably yesterday. So stoked to get some Talkin Schmit out in the great state of New York. Also, we have a winner, Apex Discovery. Right? All right. Thank you guys all for sending in your emails. Let's see who the winner is. We're going to go into the box. We're going to go into the giveaway. Hey, Sharal, pick a number between 1 and 10. 7. So I put the first 10 entries in the email, and I asked my fiance to pick a number between 1 and 10. She has picked number 7. And the winner is Chris Tavares. Chris, you've just won this gun from Apex Recovery. Look for yours in the mail soon, my friend. And thank you all for playing. We'll have more giveaways soon.
head on over to your local shop and ask for a Blood Wizard. If they're out, then you can tickety-tack on down to bloodwizard.com where you have all of your conjuring needs.
How you guys doing out there anyway? 4th of July was just a day or two ago, depending on when you listen or watch this. Do you all have your limbs? You still able to see? Can you hear everything? Everybody's safe? Did you have a good time? We did it proper EOA style with the bros. We had these big inflatable air dancers. Great time. Shot some fireworks off the cliff into the ocean and just had way too much food. All right, enough of all this, enough of all that. This one is, I can't even tell you how stoked I was when I got I'm down to do an interview from this next guy. I hope you enjoy this as much as I enjoyed interviewing him and as much as I've enjoyed telling everybody that this is episode 122 with Black C. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
What's up? It's your boy Black C representing that 415, and you're sitting here with Talkin Schmit. Yes, sir.
It's cool, like tonight is the night.
Here we go again.
Just give it the old college turn.
Big dog's in. Schmitty. 96 times, Schmitty.
Thanks, Schmitty.
We on? Schmitty.
Talkin Schmit.
That's called go to the hospital, bitch. I'd be shitting my pants.
Your Rolodex is fucking deep.
It's about the one.
Who is this guy thinks he's tough shit?
What's up? We're tastemakers.
Come on, Schmitty. What the fuck?
Let's hear it for Drake Smith. Yeah!
All right, everybody, I'm super excited. This week, I got the founder of the legendary rap group RBL Posse. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Black C. What's good, man?
What it do, man? Just chilling, that's all.
Yeah, sick. I'm stoked. Thanks. Before we start, man, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been a fan for a long time, so I'm hyped on this one for sure.
Oh, for sure, man. Appreciate you having me.
Were you born and raised in Hunters Point, yeah?
Yeah, born and raised right up there on Harbor Road, man. Came home to the 29, well, actually it was 27 Harbor Road back then. My mom, 2-bedroom. We ended up, once they remodeled, we came back. We swapped out with our neighbor for the 3-bedroom, 29 Harbor. But yeah, born and raised in Hunters Point, there every day.
Were you born in the hospital in SF?
Nah, actually, my mom had me in Berkeley. She was out there in Oakland. Yeah, she was out there in Oakland at her mom's house, and I guess her water bag broke when she was on the other side of the bridge. So I was born in Alta Bates Hospital in Berkeley. I was like, damn, all my brothers and them born in General Hospital or St. Luke's Hospital, and I'm the only one across in Berkeley.
Yeah, but you come from a large family, right?
Right. Yep. A whole bunch of us, like 17 of us all together.
Oh, damn.
Yep.
Damn. So you got a party wherever you go. That was like on our skate rock trips. We had 20 people in 2 vans. It was like, we don't even need anybody to come out. We got the crew.
Right. Exactly. Well, a lot of them, half of them is way older than me. Some of them is almost my mom age or older, I'd be honest with you. Yeah, it's probably, me on down. I'm probably the oldest out of the younger siblings. Yeah, it's like about 7 that's older than me, and they like way older than me. We was like probably like 20 years apart, 15 to like 20 years apart. And then I'm the oldest going down from the younger ones going down, you know what I mean? So yeah, but we all stayed together. We was real tight, real close. All my sisters, brothers who up under me, even though some of the older ones, we hang out, we real tough and tight. But from my age on down, we really tight.
Okay, tight.
Yeah.
So what was it like growing up in Hunters Point in the 90s and stuff? Like, what was it like out there? I moved. Thrasher moved there to 88, and I started working at Thrasher in 98. So I've been on Underwood since 98, but it was a little later. But I know in the beginning, I mean, I've seen the progress and what's been going on. But back in the earlier time, what was it like down there? I'm sure it was even harder.
Yeah. Well, up there on Harbor, it was actually pretty cool in Hunters Point. I mean, aside from the gangbanging stuff that kicked off around '89, going I say from around '88 to about '90, because the truce didn't happen until '91. But it was pretty cool, you know. I mean, driving, going to the bowling alley, Castle Lane, hanging out. You know, we had our little our third street is sort of like the Crenshaw over there. You drive your cars, your old school whips up and down the block, having fun. Water fights. I mean, it was a tight knit community up there. You know what I mean? I loved Hunters Point. I mean, there's so many memories, so many things to do being in San Francisco, because you had the other side. You had the Pier 39, all down Pacific Heights, all that stuff. You know, we going to the Cow Palace, sneaking into events up there.
Right.
I mean, it was a ball. I had a lot of fun in San Francisco during the 90s, especially once the music kicked in 92, 91. I would say, no, not 90, actually. When I got out of Log Cabin Ranch in 89, around 90 is when I started getting my equipment and started pretty much trying to produce. And that just created a whole nother scene for me, you know. But
right.
Yeah, it was real. It was dope, man. I love the city, man. It was a whole lot to do around there. You know, I can't remember being bored at all.
Was the hood on fire in the 80s when the Niners were fucking, I mean, you candlesticks right there. Like, what was that like? Yeah,
that was crazy, because we used to, when they won the Super Bowl, man, we went down to Broadway, man. This street called Broadway out there, man. And we just, man, it was just crazy. And we was real young too, man. I can't remember how old I was. I was probably 15, 16, somewhere around there. But I mean, we was doing the food down there on Broadway, having a ball up all night, partying, man. Everybody together. I don't care what color or nationality, whatever you was, all just enjoying life, enjoying the championship together.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Hell yeah. Did you guys have like some ins? Were you in the neighborhood enough that you could figure out a way to sneak into games at all? Or were you guys going to Candlestick?
Well, we had a bunch of dudes who used to be scalpers who had tickets. So we also knew people at the gates too. So I don't ever remember even paying for a 49er or a Giants game, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I always had some type of connect to where, you know, a bunch of our friends was out there selling tickets, or we had people who worked at the gates. And then we also knew little spots you can go in through the gates where they can bend open and you can get in, you know, in the back of the Candlestick Park. So it was always ways to get in. I don't ever remember paying, though, to be honest with you, ever having a ticket, unless I got it from one of my scalper partners who was out there, you know, moving and grooving, getting their money. Right. But yeah, we always had access. So I never really cared about going to games. I went a couple times just for the experience, just to be in there. But I used to just hate, because I used to want to see, I liked the close-ups. I like listening to the broadcasters talking about it. I like to see the
instant replay.
Yeah, all that stuff. It's like you sitting there, you can't see what happened. You hear everybody go, ooh, you be like, what was it, a fumble? What happened? You trying to look inside the crowd of people, you know, the players, when they, you know, something didn't happen and you really can't see. So you looking at the big Teletron, the little camera, big screen up there, and the screen, sometimes if the sun's shining on it, you couldn't even see that. So it wasn't even really worth it. I'd rather stayed at home and watch the game. But I went for the experience a couple times. Just like I said, I was down there, it was free, so I'd go in, eat, hang out. But yeah, I was pissed off though, couldn't see anything.
Yeah. For me, I like going to baseball games, but football, I'm way more into watching on TV for sure. It's really hard to get the whole vibe from the stands.
Right.
You mentioned the Log Cabin Ranch. What is that, like Juvenile Hall or something? What is that? I don't know that one.
Oh yeah. Log Cabin is it's a year program. It's a juvenile facility, juvenile detention facility where they send you after you get sentenced. You know, it's sort of like I ain't gonna say it's like how if you go to the county and then you end up going to the penitentiary, you know, they send you somewhere to actually do your time. Yeah. That's what Log Cabin Ranch was. It was a ranch it was a boys ranch for under 18. Under 18 and under kids, and it was a year program. You'd be up there for about a year, and then you go to like a halfway house afterwards and do another 90 days, and then you out pretty much out the program. And you was good up there. if you did the program, did everything you're supposed to do as far as cleaning up and all that type of stuff, then what they do is they let you have home passes after 90 days. So you come home from Friday to Sunday,
right,
and have to go back up there. So yeah, it was pretty much like a year program that I got that I ended up getting to based on the fact that I had a good lawyer, man. I ended up man, shout out to my lawyer, because I would have definitely been sitting down probably for about 3 years, you know, because I got caught with a bunch of stuff, bunch of guns, man, like about, man, I don't know, it was about a little over 10 of them I got caught with, plus some drugs. And yeah, I ended up spending that money for that lawyer, and him and a few of the community activists like Thomas Mayfield, Lefty Gordon, a lot of the dudes, they was like real staples in our community who you know, they remember me from being young, playing 12 and under flag football, basketball, you know, getting a bunch of trophies from playing football, because I was really into sports when I was younger. And yeah, they came and talked up for me with my lawyer, and yeah, the judge gave me a shot. He's like, you know, I'm gonna give you one more shot and let you go do this year program. But any problems at the ranch, you're going straight off to the youth authority, to YA, which I was supposed to be going to. I was supposed to be going to Carl Houghton Youth Authority. But yeah, he gave me that shot, and I aced that program. Didn't have no write-ups, no problems at all while I was up there.
Nice.
Yep.
While you were there, did you like have some time to think about life in general? And did that kind of spark like, I want to get into something? Like, did that help you start thinking about getting into the rap world? Like, how'd you kind of transfer over to RBL and all that?
Well, yeah, that definitely helped. What it was is being up there, man, yeah, I had a lot of time to reflect. And, you know, you're up there with guys all day. You ain't got nothing but time to think, because there's nothing to do. If you ain't in school, after school, you sitting around all day, just on, we call it the blacktop, where it's basketball courts and kickball area, weight room. You hanging out up there, and all you can do is just think about what you want to do. You know, when you get that idle time, that's all you do is think. So while up there thinking, you know, I end up, you know, listening to music, listening to 415, you know, D-Loc and a lot of them, listening to Coog Nut and them, just like really listening to music. And a lot of the dudes from Lakeview, my boy NT and them, coming back up there telling us stories about how he was on his home pass. He was out there with Coog Nut and them and all that. You know, I just started thinking like, man, I gotta get my stuff together. And what really made me really get it together is when they swooped up one of my partners who I used to be with every day and put a murder on him and said that he killed this dude out of Sunnydale. And they was trying to say that I was there at the time. They came up to Log Cabin Ranch homicide and came and talked to me and said, man, you know, your van was there at this shooting along with your boy's car. Both of y'all pulled up and killed him. And this, I was like, bro, on that date, I was in juvenile at the time fighting this case that I'm up in here serving this time for. And they checked, and it panned out that I was in juvenile. So they couldn't really do nothing about it. And they actually shipped my boy off. He ended up losing the case and got 25 to life. He ended up beating it later on. He came home after 14 years and sued him, got paid the whole nine, you know, but they wiped, he didn't see none of the 90s. He was gone pretty much from 89 all the way until like 2003. He came home 2003, 2004. You know, my best friend I was with. So in the way, the ranch was a blessing to me that I was there, because I'd have been sitting there with him, you know, gone, would have missed all the 90s myself, probably would have never did the music. And ain't no telling where, man, I would be at. Even though they paid him a little bit, but it just wasn't worth all that time he missed and the time he was gone. They gave him a couple million for, you know, I guess they pay him so much a day for the days that he was gone. They kind of calculated it or whatever. You know, he living pretty good now, but, you know, it was stressful. He could have got killed up in there. You know, there was a bunch of gang wars stuff going on, you know, Mexicans against blacks, Crips and Bloods. And it was just, you know, being in there for something you didn't do, man, you could have just ran into any problem, or you could have got shanked or stabbed or anything, you know what I mean? And yeah, it was just crazy. But yeah, that gave me time to think about all that. That definitely made me think, man, you know, they can send you off anytime for something you didn't do.
Right. Did you do any writing in there, like lyric wise, or not yet?
Nah, not yet. I wasn't even thinking about music. The only music I was thinking about is playing it. You know, like I said, I was up there playing 415, Cool Nut, the Ghetto Boys at the time. It was like we was playing a lot of that, but I wasn't thinking about music. I was more on some starstruck stuff, like wild that my boys was coming back saying that they was hanging out with Cool Nut. Like, man, yeah, we was out at Cool Nut at Sundial Park, and he was rapping and letting us hear some of his new stuff, and I was just like, wow, man, I can't wait to get my home pass. We had to go home and see some things. But I've been in this juvenile because I was fighting the case for about 6 months to almost a year, just in there, just fighting it. And then I ended up getting sentenced to a year. So I was gone for probably about a year and a half to almost 2 years. Wow. So yeah, it was just like, man, I couldn't wait. And that was my first time. I was young too. And that was a long time for me. That, you know, I'll be tripping off my dudes, be like, yeah, they got sentenced to 3 years or 5 years or 7 years. That too whooped me. I was just like, oh man, yeah, I can't, I ain't no way in the world I could sit down for 10 or 5. Let me go and get my shit together. Right. Yeah.
So what was the spark that got you, like, you started doing beats first, right?
Right. What happened was when I got out, you know, I had a few dollars. My friend, one of my homies from the block, his name is Budweiser. He ended up asking me to invest into some equipment. You know, I had a few dollars, had some money. So he was just like, bro, won't you buy some equipment, you know, support me, buy some equipment and, you know, let me run it. Let me, you know, put an album together. And he had already had an album out that was called Life as a Nigga. It was Budweiser and DeRace, and he had a song that was a pretty big song locally in San Francisco called Darling, Darling Baby that he did. I think it was the OJ sample. And yeah, it did pretty good. It was like a 2-3 song, little sort of like little maxi single EP. And he did that. And so I knew, me knowing Budweiser, I knew that he was going to use the equipment, he was going to work. So I was like, you know, what I got to lose, ain't nothing else going on. Let's go buy the equipment. We went and bought the equipment. And yeah, that's when I got bit with the bug. Once I got in there and started messing with the equipment, we had this dude named Double B who said he knew how to run the equipment. But once I got it, he didn't know what he was doing. So I started tinkering with it. And I ended up learning it after about a week. I knew how to program the drum machine. I started knowing how to work the 4-track. You know, I understood all the controls on the 4-track, how to do the pitching up, pitching down, speeding up albums when you want to sample it, speed it up to get more seconds in, and then you detune it to get it back on track so you have more time, because the samplers then only had like 2.5 seconds. So if you wanted a 8-bar sample, you had to speed it up, you know what I mean, really fast and sample it and then slow it down. Then you got way more than you actually squeeze in about 5 seconds into 2.5. So okay, yeah, it was like little tricks and techniques I learned just messing around with it. And yeah, I started just doing a whole bunch of beats for him, my brother Dre Hype, who my hype man, who be out there on the road with me doing a lot of Mr. C stuff. Him and T-Lo. T-Lo is another guy who came out on Black Power Productions on Herm Lou, who did our intros. He put out a guy named T-Lo. And yeah, it cracked off from there. And yeah, I ended up getting into writing after that.
Do you remember what the actual machine was that you started with, the first? Yeah,
it was actually a rolling Dr. Rhythm bass drum machine. It was called Dr. Rhythm. And I had a Yamaha 4-track. I had a regular little, it was like a Casio keyboard. My first keyboard was like a little cheap Radio Shack keyboard that really wasn't about nothing. Then I ended up upgrading, getting me another one. I got a Kawai, I forgot the name. It was a Kawai something. I forgot the name, Kawai X3 something. It was something, but it had a bunch of sounds and it was nice. It was way better than the little Casio that I had, because the Casio really didn't have no weight. It didn't have no weighted keys. And you could tell it was built cheap, real light, you know, and but it worked at the time. People loved the music I was getting up out of it. And I had an SB12. I ended up going to go get an SB12. SB1200. I forgot the sampler. Whichever one was first. I ain't had one in so long. I think it was the SB12 that was the original first one.
But you used that stuff for like the first album, like some of that stuff was used for that?
Yeah, well, the samples, was made on there, but I couldn't get a lot of the loops in. So what I did was when I went to TC studio, I met TC when I got down to his studio, he had the sampler called the Emax, and that had like 30 some seconds on it, 28 seconds, something like that. And what I did was like I had More Like an Orgy sample, but I had a little bitty part of it just looping. And what he was able to do, he was able to take the intro, More Like an Orgy, from the Black Hole, the theme, the Black Hole Theory from Funkadelic. And he was able to place that on the front of my song. We was able to do breaks, bring in other samples. So I was like a little kid in the candy store once we got it up and got it going. It was just like, oh, wow, okay, we can just stack pile samples on top of samples. And you notice on my first album, I was just like, I went kind of crazy with it. I started trying to be like Dr. Dre and NWA and them, the way just trying to make it more just like a fucking action movie, like an action scene where it's just like I got Salt and Pepper coming in on top of a third bass sample with Ohio players coming in. It was just, I went crazy. Or I might have Brass Monkey coming in from the Beastie Boys on top of Soft and Wet by by Prince. So yeah, I went crazy with it, man, because I was just so happy to just be able to sample and be able to loop the ideas I had, you know, because I couldn't do it at home. I only was working with 4 tracks, and the sampler didn't have that much sample time. So
okay. Yeah. Back then, was there like an allocated time that you're allowed to use somebody else's music? Like you could use like 2.5 seconds, anything over that you're paying, or was there not even that rules yet?
Well, it wasn't even those rules yet, because I didn't think people didn't start getting hit up until like the 90s, later on in the 90s, probably like early to mid 90s. That's when you started hearing about, oh, James Brown estate suing such and such, or, you know, George Clinton and them publishing companies seeking, you know, damages or royalties from it. You know, that came later on. When I first got in, they weren't even talking about you paying. You just sample whatever you want to sample and use it. It wasn't about no clearance or nothing nothing like that. So I don't know. Okay. That came later on. They tore us up later on too. It got with us. All them samples we had out. It was hard to get them cleared, and that's what withheld a lot of our payments too on our first album. We barely even got paid for that.
Okay. So that kind of steer your direction, like we got to use less samples in the future.
Yeah, that's where Ruthless by Law, the second album, came from. All originals. We had a couple samples on there, but even then we played over. We're going to use an interpolation of it instead of actually using the whole sample. No. So we're going to play all original music, and whatever sample that we do like, we're going to play it over and change it up a little bit.
That's what's sick. When you like establish yourself, you can go back and sample your own shit. Like by your third album, you're sampling your first album, and it's like all in the family. Like, we got this.
Exactly.
That's right. And then, is it true you guys wouldn't be RBL Posse if it was for EPMD? Like, you were originally named Hit Squad, but then you realized they had it going too?
Exactly. Yeah, we was called the Hit Squad, and yeah, as soon as we seen Eric D and EPMD period had another squad called the Hit Squad, we were just like, oh man, we got to change the name. Thank God we didn't write too many songs with Hit Squad in it. You know, we only had the Hit Squad New Jack song that Mr. C made. As soon as we seen that, it was like right before we went into TC studio and started to record. We was able to flip it up and swap it out. Like, man, you know what? We're going to just be RBL. And,
okay. So what was up with TC? Was he kind of like, he was an experienced dude that people were coming to because he already had his finger on the pulse, or what was up with that?
TC was, he was like our Dr. Dre over there, man. TC was dealing with dibbling and dabbling with any group that was around there. And that was because everybody was following Coog Nut. You know, Coog Nut was already out. He had tapes, cassettes at the time. That was the only thing out. He had cassettes out. So you gonna go, you know, to where you see the guy with the experience is going to. So, you know, we seeing him work, because everybody used to think like you had to go to Hollywood, LA or somewhere to put out a cassette. You know, it was like you had to be big, like Too Short or somebody, you know, to get a cassette. So when we know somebody that's actually reachable and we could touch, and he's here every day. Where you doing your music at? What studio you going to get this quality? Excuse me. How's you pressing up these cassettes? So we just followed what he was doing. So that's how we ended up at TC. He was an engineer for Coog Nut stuff. He the one did all the earlier Coog Nut stuff over there at I believe it was it Bankroll? I think it was Bankroll Studios. I believe that was the name of it. And when it was in Lakeview, and then yeah, they was over in Lakeview off of Ocean. And TC, the day I met him, he was like, yeah, man, we about to pack up. We about to shut this studio down. I'm about to move all my stuff into my house. And I was just like, oh, man, where your house at? Where you live at? He was like, yeah, I'll stay right in Hunters Point, right over there on Shafter. I'm like, oh, shit, you right down the street. I'm like, oh, hey, that's cool. Like, man, he's like, yeah, he said, just give me a week to get everything wired up. And, then I'm going to start booking studio time. So after about a week, went down there and seen him. It was off to the races. We was over there up under the TC every day. And anything I brought in there, he knew how to chop it. And I didn't realize how good he was at the time when I was having TC chop up, because I bring anything. I didn't know that you had to work with all that pitch control and know how to, because, a lot of them samples was different tempos, beats per minute, BPM. So I might bring in a soft and wet Prince sample that might be at 120 BPM. And I might bring in a Brass Monkey from Beastie Boys that might only be 100, but TC knew how to mesh them together and lock them in. And I just thought you could sample and just put it over the top and it was gonna work. I didn't realize it was a process. You had to chop stuff up at the snares, and man, he's still raw to this day. It's a lot of stuff. I don't get how TC be doing it, but man, I got mad love for TC. He is so dope when it comes to them samples, man. Totally Insane album, I was going crazy listening to all the samples they had. Our album, Coog Nut and them, I was just like, wow, he's a genius. Yeah.
Sick. Do you guys look at, because back then there was no digital computers and all that stuff that we have now. Things have evolved. It's obviously so much easier now. Do you look at it like you don't even, because growing up, we have this OG mentality, like you don't even know what it was like in our day. But for the rap community, like you can just be like boop boop boop, and then all of a sudden you got a fucking hit like GarageBand or whatever, do some digital shit. But he's still doing it like OG, or has he embraced the?
TC grew with the times. He pretty much like me too. You got to. If not, your old dinosaur in your studio gonna shut down, like so many studios I know out here. That Enhancer, even though he was trying to grow at the times, it just got a little hectic for Enhancer. He had to shut down because there wasn't enough money into it. Man, Stan at Find Away Studios, even him, he bought the big old SSL board that was probably worth 200 and some thousand, but it got to the point where it's like, man, you damn near paying a mortgage for that board, and now everybody is just coming in with Fruity Loops or Reasons or just any type of little DAW. Whether it's Logic or whatever, it's Cubase, and they just throwing stuff together in 5 minutes, and you find yourself using 2 tracks out that big old board. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, damn, ain't nobody tracking out no more. They don't know about the time code. You used to have to take an hour just to put the SMPTE, the time code on the 2-inch or a 1/2-inch reel and strike the reel. You got to strike the reel first. That's taking an hour out your time. Oh yeah. And by the time even to pull up mixes, oh my God, like we didn't like a mix. It wasn't like you can go back to it and it's the same. You got to remember where all the levels was, and we go to the patch bay and patch in all the reverbs and all the effects. Oh man, it was so crazy back then. It's so easy now because when you pull it up, it's exactly how you left it. You can go in, make little adjustments here and there. Yeah. I mean, I like the new way of doing things. It's fast. It gets you in and out versus you taking 5-6 hours or two sessions just to complete one song. Mm-hmm. So I don't mind it now. And 1 5-hour session, man, I'm knocking out maybe 3-4 songs easy.
Sick.
Okay.
So I think the way I learned about it was you were kind of putting together your own shit, and then you got introduced to Mr. C and Hitman, and it was like you kind of had your own material, and then it was like, let's just do a group thing.
Yeah. What happened was I had a couple songs. I had a song called What About My Niggas. That was my very, very first song I tried. And I named everybody in the neighborhood, and it was off that You're a Customer beat by EPMD, which I ended up using later on Lesson to Be Learned on the part Mr. C come in on. but I had a couple songs done already. I had More Like an Orgy. I had a Lesson to Be Learned. I wasn't called A Lesson to Be Learned at that time, but I just had to rap, and I was rapping on the Sugar Hill Gang beat. And I had Don't Give Me No Bammer Joint. And what else did I have? I had Sort of Like a Psycho, but it wasn't, I just was rapping on the third bass. I forgot the beat, Step Into the AM beat. I had that, and I had wrote the song. So I had like those 4 songs, plus I had a song called Can't Say a Nigga Gay from the West Bay. I had a few that I didn't use that I ended up leaving off, but I got a little cold feet when it was time to actually go to TC Studio and actually do them and put them out. I just got a little nervous. I was just like, man, if it failed, people gonna be laughing at me and pointing the finger at me like, bro, that shit flopped. Yeah, I didn't do good. So I wanted, and I didn't feel like a rapper at the time. I was more of a producer then. So I was like, I got to get somebody who rap to be the lead person, and I'm just going to add them to these songs. And I tried to get T-Lo, and T-Lo just had excuse after excuse. Man, I'm doing this, I'm hustling. I got other things to do. But it really wasn't like that. T-Lo was just hot at the time because he was our neighborhood Ice Cube. He was so dope, and he didn't care about actually being in a group like that with me because he had so many dudes who had money, little ballers, our neighborhood, little drug dealers or ballers who was getting their money who wanted to put him out. So he didn't care about being in a group thing. So he ended up bringing Mr. C up there, and for sure enough, me and Mr. C clicked. The first day he came in, he got right down to it. I put together a beat. He did the Hit Squad New Jack song. And it blew me away. All the little, the little slick lines he was saying, all the punch lines and metaphors he was using. And we was used to just rapping like Ice Cube and them back then. We wasn't like being slick and putting in the punchlines and metaphors like the East Coast guys was. Mr. C was on that type of hype. And that's what really made me fall in love with him lyrically. And I just had to, I was like, bro, let's go on and do the group thing. I'm ready to go on and do it. And he was just like, yeah, whatever. And even then I was still going to try to just have him on there as a feature on a lot of songs. I was still trying to just set on, trying to do my own thing, coming out with Black Sea. But then I started feeling like, man, if we did a group thing, groups it's dope because you had 415, you had IMP, all of them using their initials, NWA, IMP. It was like the little 3-letter, 3-number thing going on. Yeah. So that's what we was going to do. We were just going to be RBL. But then when we took the pictures and we had started taking the pictures early on before we even finished the album. So once we did that, it just looked like a posse. I was just like, oh, the album cover is looking dope with me and with all the homies on there. We just going to call it RBL Posse. But it was actually Ruthless by Law. When T-Lo gave us the name, it was Ruthless by Law, but I shortened it to RBL. And then by the time we took the pictures, it became RBL Posse. And
who are all those dudes on it's you and Mr. C, Hitman, but there's a few other dudes on the album.
Hitman not on there. Hitman came along later on. And Hitman never really was part of the group. Everybody thought he was, but we just left it like that because we felt it to help his sales. But Hitman never officially was in RBL. He was always a solo artist. Okay. We was the Batman, he was our Robin. We were just trying to set him up to do his own thing. So we just added him on a couple songs on Ruthless by Law, but he wasn't around in 91, 92. Hitman came around in 94, like right before we worked on our album. One of my young homies brought him through and was just like, bro, I got this dude who rap. He dope as hell. He kind of got that rap style, how he be saying lyrics and stuff and dropping all them little metaphors and stuff like Mr. C. And when he came around, I was just like, oh, okay, he dope. So we brought him in and got him on a couple songs while we was recording the second album, but he never was officially a part of the group. We just had people think that, but we never had him on the covers or did none of that. Now, he wasn't around definitely for the first one. He was a little youngster, probably going to school somewhere doing this thing, but he came around on the second one. Even then, on the second album, he was really young when he came around.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then rapping about weed wasn't really like happening back there. Like maybe Cypress Hill was out. It was right around that area, but it was kind of like a big deal to do Bama weed, right?
Yeah, Cypress was out, and then you also had MC Pooh with Fucking with Dank.
Okay.
He was out, and I believe that was about it. It was only them 2 songs that I knew that was popular. But yeah, we actually came in and actually had the first real weed anthem type song. But yeah, there was only 2 that was out. Cypress Hill had a couple songs. They was, referring to weed, but nobody was actually saying weed actually like that. Even when MC Pooh was like fucking with Dank. So you could slide that out. Dank could be anything, but we was actually like, we don't smoke bunk weed, period. That we was one of the first to actually come like that. So yeah.
And that just became like an anthem, like everybody's bumping that when it comes out, right?
Oh man, it took off. It took off like wildfire. As soon as we put it out, everybody went crazy about that. I couldn't believe all the cars that was coming up and down in our neighborhood, up and down the street, playing "Don't Give Me No Bammer Weed" and a host of other songs. G's by the 1 2 3s. I mean, and I knew our music because I used that P-Funk clap with the reverb clap together. And I could tell with the hi-hats, how I mixed them, I could tell our music anywhere. The windows could be rolled up, but I hear that clap and the hi-hats going on. I was like, yeah, they playing our music.
Did you kind of feel like a little bit of celebrity status? Like, when that came out, did it make you feel like, oh, people recognize you more and people probably thought you were rich or whatever?
Yeah, well, yeah, that came a little bit later. We were still up there on the block the whole first year, not really tripping, but we was loving at all the cars that we had to support. Well, really, we didn't know how big it got. We were just happy that they was bumping it around in San Francisco, around our neighborhood. Then we started seeing that dudes from other cities, sets start coming through. Fillmore, Sunnydale, they playing it now. And then once we start traveling over, going to Eastmont Mall over in Oakland and all that, you start rolling around in Oakland. You're like, hold on, wait, they playing it over here? Like, man, that's our music. I be like, that's our music. Like, yeah, I know our claps. And it just started, man, that's when we start realizing, like, hold on, we got something now. This stuff is taking off. It's about to be something. And then we start getting booked for shows. We got our first little couple shows. And after that, it was off to the races. We knew we had something in.
Where was your first show? Do you remember?
The very first show was at the Stone.
No way.
Yeah.
On Broadway.
Broadway. Yep.
Okay.
The very first show that we did, I believe it was with Andre Nicotina. Was it Andre Nicotina? I think it was, with Dre Dog at the time. And I believe it was JT the Bigger Figure them. I think they was all there. And who else? It was somebody else there. We had did that, and then we came back and opened up for Sir Mix-a-Lot there at the Stone. So we was at the Stone like two, three times.
Nice.
We went on, start doing shows in Seattle, going out to we lived in Detroit. Detroit loved us.
Okay.
Man, Michigan, whether it was Flint, Pontiac, Michigan. I mean, man, Lansing, man, they loved us out there. But yeah. That's when we knew it was over with. Once we started getting booked and started seeing them deposits coming in for them shows.
How did the beef in the neighborhoods affect your music? Like, with Fillmore, Hunters Point, Sunnydale, all the different zones, there was fucking gnarly animosity, right?
Yeah, but what I did was I stayed away from that on that first album. I knew I needed them. So I wasn't even finna come in there trying to bash them. That's why I came in on some like, I'm gonna represent Harbor Road where I'm from. I'm gonna represent Hunters Point, but it's gonna mainly be Frisco is gonna be dominant throughout the whole album. I wanted to make sure of that. That's why we changed Don't Give Me No Bammer Joint. We don't smoke that shit in Hunters Point to Don't Give Me No Bammer Weed. We don't smoke that shit in the SFC because I knew I needed Frisco. And that meant I had to swallow my pride and try to reach out to Fillmore, reach out to a few dudes in Sunnydale, whatever, and squash the beef. And that's exactly what I did. I wasn't finna get on my album and just trying to make it predominantly Hunters Point this, Hunters Point that, because they're not gonna play it. They don't want to hear that. They want something they can be proud of. Now, Frisco, that's sort of like having a sports team. All of us cheer for the Niners. All of us cheer for the Giants. And so I had to take that concept and think about that. Like, man, we got to be Frisco leaders. We got to, represent now. Yeah, here and there, you're going to hear us say Harbor Road and the whole nine, but it's not going to just be oversaturated with that. We got to make sure we got Frisco coming up in there, SFC, the whole nine. So That's
right.
what we did, and it worked. When we brought them dudes over there to squash the beef, they was with it, and they worked out so perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, as a fan, like that IMP song, Frisco, everybody's collaborating on it. You got Selsky, you got Nicotina, but you also got different neighborhoods coming in, and it's like that's the city anthem for us. It's like, fuck yeah. So there was no animosity at the show, like when you're playing with dudes from the Fillmore at the Stone, like everybody's getting along, or was it kind of hectic?
Oh yeah, no, they was getting along because we had just did the truce. They came up to my neighborhood and we all shook hands, hung out, and we was like, if anybody got any problems with anybody, this is the time right now to let it be known.
Okay.
You can fight one-on-one. And a lot of times when you single dudes out to fight one-on-one, they get real quiet. You know what I mean? They get real small in the back. You don't see them, you don't hear them, they ducking. But, you know, when it's a pack of them, yeah, they ain't don't mind jumping somebody, you know, but when you got to single them out, like, okay, you got a problem with this dude, you jumped him, and you want to fight one-on-one, a lot of times they, oh, no, I ain't got no problem, I'm good, I ain't tripping. Yeah, so that's what we did. A lot of the factors from Fillmore and from my neighborhood, we like, man, if y'all got problems, man, y'all can fight. You know, if not, we finna let it go right now. It's over with it. And that's exactly what happened. They let it go. It wasn't no problems.
And then I got to ask, in the beginning of the G's by the 1, 2, 3, there's like a little, what's going on there? There's like a little soundbite before the song starts. It sounds like someone shit their pants or something.
Yeah, that's TC getting drunk. He always get drunk. That's why he drinking on his 40 ounce because he's always being there. And he like, man, I done fucked around and hooked Midtown up with Harbor Road. That's where Al Capone is from Midtown out there, Menlo Park, EPA, right in that area. And they end up TC was just letting it be known. Plus he produced the beat. That was the only beat he had produced on the album. I produced everything else on the album. So he had to put his stamp on it, letting people know too. Like, I done hooked these dudes up, put them together. We finna make something happen out of this.
So how did you meet Totally Insane at TC Studio? He was doing something with them? Okay.
Yeah, what happened was we was in there working on our stuff. And TC would play their stuff for us. Like when we coming in there waiting on our session to start, they'd be in there. Al Capone and Mac 10 would be in there. And we'd be hearing their music. We'd be like that was a lot of motivation for ours. Like that's how I ended up coming with a lot of them samples. Like they helped that first album get dope because I was hearing their stuff and I'm like coming in there. Them and I'll say Black Dynasty too out of Oakland. I'll come in there and TC would be playing their stuff or finishing up their session. And when I hear their stuff, I was like, ooh, shit, like damn. Who like TC? That's them. We like, man, yeah, it's Al Capone and them. That's song we just made or this and that. And I was just like, man, okay, that's raw. So I go home and get to digging in the crates and get to trying to find me some samples to just throw together. So I was using that. That was fueling that fire of mine to make me really like step up as a producer because TC had they shit sounding raw. So one day we came in there and he had the G's by the 1, 2, 3s playing it. The original song didn't have me and Mr. C on it. It was Al Capone, Mac 10, it was Coog Nut, and a rapper named Fly Mar. They was the 4 that was on there. So he took Coog Nut out and Fly Mar off and put me and Mr. C on it and gave it to us. Because I was just like, bro, that beat is so I was just like, man, I love that DLC sample 1. Yeah, I was like, oh my God. I said, bro, you done did it with this, bro. I said, man, I got to have that. And he said, man, it's yours. I was like, you serious? He's like, man, it's yours, man. I'm going to take them off and it's going to be y'all Totally Insane. But TC know he played that on it for us on purpose. He knew we was going to like it. And he knew we was going to make that song better because I think he was finna go on, they was going to save it for Totally Insane next album, which they had just dropped the album. So it was going to be a while before that came out. And TC knew I was going to want that. As soon as I heard it, I was like, bro, I need that. And he was just like, it's y'all's. He took them off so fast, put us on it. And that just ended the album off. That was the last song made for that album too.
Oh, okay.
Right at the end. And I said, T knew what he was doing. He played that when I came up in there. He knew I was going to want that beat because that beat came on. I was just like, me and Mr. C went crazy off of that. Like, what? Like, oh, this is dope. And he like, yeah, there's lyrics on it already. He said, it's Totally Insane. It's such and such in the moment. We like, for real? Let us hear it. He played it.
Yeah,
Our
that
heart
one
stopped,
and
like, oh,
I Ain't
man.
No Joke. That's the other one. Those two are heavy rotation in the van when we're traveling.
That's love.
Um, what was your guys' relationship with like the East Bay and like Richmond, Oakland, and the E40, Too Short, Mac Dre? These dudes over there. Was everyone getting along in the early days, or what?
Yeah, we was all cool, especially us and E40 and them, man. We was, we had a lot of mutual friends. So 40 and them used to come over there to Hunters Point a lot. Him, Be Legit, and them. They used to mess with one of my OG partners, OG Bubba Hamp. So we knew about them, and there was this dude we called White Boy Mike who stayed in Vallejo out there in Fairfield, who knew E40 and them. He used to be on Harbor Road with us all the time. And he like introduced us to their music before E40 and them blew up and came out before their first album. He was bringing us stuff over there in like 80, 88, 89. Like we was hearing a lot of their stuff that they was finna come with, all that Left Side and all that, the click type earlier stuff we was hearing. So yeah, we had a good relationship coming up with E40 and them. As far as like a lot of the other ones, like from Oakland and all that, we didn't really have no relationships, but we respected them. Like MC Pooh, Dangerous Dame, Spice One being from Hayward, all that. Like we respected them, played their music, loved them, but it wasn't no relationship. We wasn't actually had a relationship that we was talking, communicating, anything like that. 40 and them was a little bit different.
Right.
But Mac Dre and them too. Also, Mac Dre was just like a star to us because he was in love with that radio and California Living, the Mac, when the Mac was out, all that. We just used to bump them. We just thought they were stars because back then, if you came out with a cassette, people looked at you as like a celebrity because you didn't know it was easy to do that. You can go press it up yourself. You thought you had to have a record label deal or something like that. So if you had a cassette back then, people respected it.
Okay. Too Short would come to Hunters Point, right?
Yeah. Too Short came over there through a lot of our partners. Like, I had a partner named Fat Boo Boo who hung with Too Short and them. Yeah. And he had him come over there. He come over there slanging tapes and stuff. I used to see Short pull up right in our neighborhood, right in the middle of the projects, slang a couple cassettes and going about his way after that. And that's why in one of his songs, that's why I sampled that. I say, what's up to my homies in Hunters Point. I use that on sort of like a psycho. I sampled Too Short because he used to come over there all the time, hanging out. And it was love. Yeah, we respected Short. But like I said, Short was like up there. He was a celebrity. Like, we looked at him as royalty, in the Bay Area. So we wasn't even thinking about rapping when he was doing his thing. Like I said, I knew I was able to do it once I seen people like Cool Nut and them because, like I said, they was around a lot. You seen them a lot. We knew what studios they worked out of. So it was easy. They was accessible. Short was a little bit different. He'd pop in and out. And when he did pop through, he popped through with the reputable dudes that was from our neighborhood who was really getting money. Yeah. And I was young then, so I'd just be like sitting there and like, oh, that's the one that seen Freaky Tales or, stuff like that, and like just tripping out. And then, later on when Rappin' Forte got with him, because Rappin' Forte was also staying over there in our neighborhood too. His mom stayed in our neighborhood. He'd leave Fillmore, come over there and be over there a lot. So yeah, we hung out with Forte a lot. And once we seen that he got accepted into the Dangerous crew and was over there with Short, it was like, wow, okay, got something going.
Both those guys separately have played Thrasher Skater of the Year party for us, and it's been amazing. When did skateboarding come into your world? Like, we had a vert ramp on Hudson Street in the back of this house that overlooked the park in Hunters Point. It was an abandoned house that was real big in the 80s for skaters. Like I said, Thrasher moved to Hunters Point in 88 on Underwood. Were you aware of it at all in the 80s or 90s, or not till later when they started using your music?
Nah, until they started using my music and I started getting, licensing. People wanted me to license it for they like DVDs or documentaries. That's when I started knowing like, oh, the skateboarder world really, they really fuck with us. Like, damn, like, especially what it was FTC.
Oh, okay.
That's when I did the deal with them, and we put out a couple skateboards. We put out some T-shirts, And, the guy at FTC just kind of explained, like, man, y'all, they love y'all in the skateboarder world, bro. They, like, you just don't know, bro. They really, really, man, skateboard to y'all, especially that first album. They love it. And I was just like, for real? And that's when it just, he opened my eyes to it. And, from there, we ended up doing a deal with Quartet Skateboards. It was another one we had did some with Bell. I think it's Bell, one of them that we had did a few things with. They gave us a bunch of stuff. Like I right now I got a whole bunch of trucks and wheels and all type of boards, little non-slip pads and all type of stuff like that right now in my thing with all my music memorabilia in the backyard. I got a whole bunch of stuff, man. They took care of it. Like, but now it's like the younger generation, my little nieces and nephews, and even my one of my youngest brothers, man, they skate. They raised like that. They do their thing,
Okay.
Yeah, they definitely do their thing. And, I always was into it. I really got not into it as far as skating myself, but I like it. I started, when Tony Hawk and just the video games and the X games I was already into it. So by the time FTC and them came around, and, Thrasher always was just a respected name that, when you hear that name, you automatically know, skateboards and stuff like that. So once, I started seeing, Tony Hawks and dudes like that, watching the BMX dudes all on X Games, that just opened me up to that world. And man, I'm so appreciative that they support it and they deal with us, man. They kind of gave us that second win to where they introduced us to the newer generation, to where, I love that they skate to our music, man. It just worked out perfectly.
Sick. Yeah, I guess when Mr. C, Hitman, they both die, how does that affect you and your music and your drive and everything? You put out an album called Last Man Standing. You literally are the last man standing. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about that period of your life? Like, I'm sure it's depressing and you're grieving and figuring out like what you're going to do next.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I went through it. It was one of those things where, I just knew I had to strap on my boots, man. I had to just hold my head up high and don't let, a lot of them dudes who was going against the grain and hating on Mr. C and our relationship, let them know, man, I can't let them see me sweat. You know what I mean? So I had to get it together, slap myself back and, hey, wake up. Let's get back going, get back in the studio, because I stopped producing beats. I had stopped. I think the last production I did was on NOA, a group I put out called NOH Mafia. I put them out in '96, right after Mr. C's death. They was like the last group I had produced for. And by the time '97 came around, it had really hit me that Mr. C was gone, and that like, man, I got to make changes. What am I gonna do? It's like, fuck, it's not gonna be the same no more. But talking to my mom and them, my family members, my brothers and them, also speaking to Craig Callman, who was also the one that signed us at Atlantic Records. He was actually the president, the owner of Big Beat, because they was a subsidiary of Atlantic. They're the ones that signed us. And once he got the president position at Atlantic, he passed it Big Beat on to Mike Karen. It kind of, that was motivation too, when he called me like, man, I know you the man behind the music, produced it. And he the one was just like, you don't actually have to have Hitman fill Mr. C's shoes, but won't you, just have Hitman, kind of get in a group with you and do the album, and we see where it go. We give y'all 2 mandatory albums, 3 options. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And that was motivation for me. At that time, I just was like, all right, let's do it, but I just couldn't produce anything. So that's when we went and seen Rick Rock, and that relationship too, was like a whole nother chapter, to where Rick Rock came through for us. It wasn't the same RBL vibe, but it was a vibe. It was, we had a whole nother vibe getting with Mystical and Big Lurch and them, and doing the first single, getting with dudes like MCA, Tila, Richie Rich. But we really wasn't into doing features. Even right now to this day, I really don't care about doing features unless it's like something organic to where it's like I got a relationship with you and we in the studio and it's like it's just something that just feels necessary. Like we just need to do this. But just going out and like, yeah, let me put him on this song because he could help us sell, or I want to get his fan base. I just don't like stuff like that. I got to work with you because I like you, because I think it's a good song for both of us. That's why a lot of my features, even on my last album, Still Ruthless, I worked with dudes who I always appreciated in the game, who from my era, from Sibo and Marvelous to Messy Marv. I got Be Legit. I got E40 on there. Even people was tripping off that I had little Bleed on there that it was on not E40, Master P's label, Young Bleed, and the one that was on How You Do That there. He, doing a song with him. Them was people who I'm actually into. I didn't care if they was hot or not. It's just something I wanted to do. Mac Mall was on the album too. Me and him did another single. I had Andre Nicotina on there. So, I got everybody from my era, and also just rappers who I just appreciated them. You know what I mean? So if it don't work like that, it just don't work for me, man. I just can't do it, but
makes sense.
It was motivation though, doing that album. And even after the passing of Hitman, I was already pretty much prepared for that, because I started kind of just doing solos. Like I said, I was working on The Last Man Standing. That was my first solo debut. I wanted to make sure that was right. And I started getting back in my pocket after that. So, by the time we lost Hitman, he was kind of wasn't in the studio as much. He was gone hanging out with my brother, and they was working on a whole nother album away from my studio. So I already kind of was prepared as far as career-wise to move forward, solo.
Did that kind of influence you to move out of the city as well, or was that already in the plans?
Well, that was already in the plans. I was buying my house in 95, right before Mr. C died, because a Hitman album had dropped. And it did so good. We had sold probably like 50, 60, 70,000 units out the gate. It just like his album took off sort of like our first album. I'm talking about just crazy. Walter, like I need 5,000. He went from needing 5,000. I'll take 2,000 units. We pressed up maybe 5,000. He's like, I'll take 2,000 to see how I go. I don't want to take too many. We left those on consignment at about like $10, $11 a piece. By the time he ordered that second order, he was actually for 10,000. He was like, man, what you want to do COD? And I was just like, yeah. I was like, COD, man, let's come up with a number on COD and we can do it like that. Walter seen that it was starting to take off, and that was smart because he ended up getting like half price off. He started giving me $5 a CD, and all I had to do was drop him off, get the check from him, and I'll go press up some more. So he'll order 10, and he'll order another 10, and he'll order 5, and he'll order another 10. It just didn't stop until it got up to a little over like 150,000 units. And, I made so much money by then. I ended up like, man, let me go buy a house. So I ended up start going out to San Pablo looking for a house over in the Richmond area. And my manager ended up telling me about Antioch. Like, man, it's going to be a thriving community. They building out there. The houses is way cheaper. They way bigger. They newer than these houses you're looking at. These houses is old. You finna buy a house for like 400 and some thousand. That's only 1,800 square feet or, 1,900 square. You like, man, they got houses out there, 3,000 square feet. Which I didn't know what he was talking about. I didn't care about the square footage at the time and the projects. I'm like, man, them houses I was looking at looked big to me. But then when we came to Antioch and I seen these houses starting in the 120s and going up to 160, it was like from the 120s to the 220s. I ended up landing at this house right here for 169, man, 5-bedroom, 3,000 square feet, super crazy backyard. The backyard almost like a football field. I was just like, wow. It's like, man. And he was like, I told you. So before I can even get the paperwork done and get everything going, Mr. C got killed and it delayed everything. So, I was just planning on getting out here and putting my mom and them out here, but I was going to still be out there in the projects. But once that happened, I was just like, you know what? We leaving the projects for good. They can have this. These dudes are super disrespectful. It ain't no love. And I grew up with them. That's why it was one of those things where my feelings was hurt due to the disrespect because I only knew Mr. C at the time like 4 to 5 years. And these dudes that had supposed to have something to do with it and was involved, I have been knowing for over 20. So, they wouldn't ever did that to me, but it's the fact that they waited till I left and went behind my back and snaked him and killed Mr. C. So, you know, then people was keeping it on the hush. And nobody wanted to talk. Everybody acted like they didn't know what was on. So I was just like, you know what? That's cool. I ain't going to enjoy none of this success that I'm going to have moving forward. You know, I ain't too much ripping off for doing nothing to y'all, but what I'm going to do is cut y'all the hell off. So that's what I did. Moved on.
Mm-hmm. Fucking heavy. What was that like? One of the heaviest things, like you've been shot at, you lost your eye, you've lost some friends, you've done some time, whatever, like what was the most impactful? What was the heaviest thing? That was it.
Mr. C, that was the heaviest. And I done lost some friends, man, but Mr. C was just different, man, because even though it was only like 5 years, I was with him every day. You know what I mean? It's like every day, like eat, sleep, drinking together, laughing together, going on the road, spending the night together. Like that 5 years felt like 20, you know, because we was with each other every day, every single day, whether it was listening to beats, laughing, joking, going out on the road. I mean, the dude was just hella funny and was a ladies' man. And he brought that happy up-tempo vibe to RBL. So I said, when Mr. C died, we lost the females because I was more of that gangster hard street cred vibe, and Mr. C was more that player, you know, rap for the females, want to make songs like Remind Me and stuff like that. So it was different. You know, once we lost him, I didn't try to cater to the females and make them songs. All I'm thinking about is gangster shit to go at these dudes with, you know. I'm talking about taking off heads and stuff like that. See, Mr. C know how to like bring that. We had them gangster vibes going on, but it was just, I don't know, that RBL just had a little bit of that up tempo. It was different with Mr. C. You know, even the type of stuff he added to the hooks and the samples that he might come with for the hooks was just different. We lost that. And that hurt, man. And it just changed the whole trajectory of our career, just of my career, to where it was just like, damn, if Mr. C was here, man, ain't no telling where we would have deal with that Atlantic deal. I know for surely we would have blew the hell up. We would have blew up because it wouldn't have been that Eye for an Eye album where I'm coming in on some revenge shit, mad at everybody. It would have been more of a party RBL vibe, upgraded, just like how the first one came out was nice. The second one was even different, but still nice. That third one was going to be crazy. It was going to be crazy because I'd have still been producing. We'd have had a budget. I'd have been able to pull TC Enhancer and them in. We'd have had a nice budget to where we would have had everybody able to focus on that project, make it big. And we probably would have dabbled with a couple features like an E40 or somebody locally, all local talent, probably like E40 and Too Shorts, you know, people that we looked up to. And we probably would have went out a little bit because even when I got with Atlantic, they had their roster to where it was like, you know, at our disposal. He was like, you know, who you want that's on Atlantic Records as far as features. And at the time, I didn't really care about it. I didn't even think about using none of that stuff to our advantage. They had the Fat Joes and T.I. was, I think, just coming on the scene. I think at the time, I don't even think Aaliyah was dead. I think she was signed to Atlantic or something like that, because I remember her name coming up. And I just didn't even care. I was just like, man, my mind was just so gone on losing Mr. C. I wasn't even focused on really trying to make just a big album, just something that can go platinum. I was just pretty much just trying to get it done so I can get the balance on my budget, to be honest with you. Like, man, let me finish my studio. Let me get this budget back, you know, put this album together, get the money back from my budget so I could finish the studio off that I'm trying to build in my garage. So yeah, it would have been, man, it was just, I just think about how it would have been if Mr. C was here, man. It would have been crazy right now.
Damn. Are you sitting on anything you guys never dropped?
Everything we did, we used, you know. Yeah. I had like 1 or 2 verses that was on some unpopular rappers albums that really never really came out, but I just was like, man, you know what? I'm not even finna use it. It wasn't like him, because me and him only worked on stuff when it was time to work. We didn't think about stacking up. So even right now, I don't have anything laying around of myself. You know, he's like, when it's time to go to work, boom, I go in there, might knock out 20 songs and I use it all. The stuff I don't use, I might send it to a compilation, sell it to somebody who may be working on a soundtrack or working on this or that or whatever. I might give it to them. but I don't ever have stuff just laying around. Hitman was the only one I had a catalog of a few things that was laying around because he worked constantly. He didn't mind rapping and just doing songs with everybody in the studio. So I had a lot of work from him. It's still stuff that I didn't even release yet from Hitman. That it was an album that he did with Motor Hustler from NOH Mafia, and the group was called Critical Click, and they got about 6-7 songs. I didn't even use them verses yet. I was thinking about putting them on this album, you know, chopping some of the songs up. I mean, the verses up. But even then, I was just like, you know, I don't want to. I ain't gonna try to stretch it out. You know, I put what I had out. I'm gonna leave that there, let it rest, and just move forward with my solo. Keep that going.
Okay. I just got a couple more things I wanted to see if you would be down to. I got a few names, and I wanted to see if maybe you could tell a quick story or a quick description of each person. Mm-hmm. It's just like 4 or 5 dudes. The first being Kunut. Why was he such an icon?
Man, first out of Frisco, you know, he was animated. His voice, man, he just Frisco legend, man. It's like, you can't say nothing bad about Kunut, man. It's just icon. Frisco icon, period.
Okay, what about Selsky?
Selsky, that was my guy, man. You know, we kind of grew apart a little bit, but creative, man. You know, that's my guy, man. He was a dude that was in the studio with me and Mr. C. Like, we had some fun times. Had a bunch of laughs, man. Mr. C Def kind of, I don't know, we just, you know, after the stuff happened, he was kind of over there around the dudes that supposedly had something that had an involvement with Mr. C Def, and that kind of ruined our relationship once we started hearing about him being over there. It just kind of put a damper on our relationship. But, you know, creative, man, and you know, we good to this day though. We done hollered and talked and, you know, sorted out a few things. We done bumped heads a couple times where, you know, it could have been a problem, but we didn't let it explode. You know, I respect him. He respect me as the big homie, and, you know, it's cool, man. That's my partner. I ain't got nothing to say bad to say about Selsky, but he definitely he was one of the hottest producers at one time.
Yeah. What about Dre Dog, Andre Nicotina?
That's my guy. You know what I mean? That's my guy right there, man. I got mad respect from him. And a lot of people don't know that we kind of helped him. You know, he's finna help me right now. You know, we helped him early on when we was hot at our peak. Jason asked if he can be on tour with us, to be put in the van with us. And we was like, yeah, hell yeah. Like, yeah, that's our boy. He from the city. Come on. And Dre Dog got in the van, and that kind of helped his career. And ever since then, he been feeding that same fan base, hitting them same little circles, going around in them circles to them Santa Cruzes and up north to them Seattle and Portland's, and, you know, just tearing the whole little west up to the Midwest, like it just going back, doing this thing, and he ain't never stopped. And you know, when I reach out to him and tell him, man, let me get on tour with you, let me open up a few shows, I mean, there's no problem here. All you got to do is ask. Come on, man, come on out here. And he just got at me a couple weeks ago. We about to put something together, man, and cool. Get back out there. Yeah.
God, fuck yeah. What do you think about modern era SF? Is it still the sucker free?
I wouldn't say it's sucker free. It's a bunch of suckers now that's around. So it's different now, bro. I wouldn't necessarily say it's sucker free, but you know, I can say I'm sucker free. You know what I mean? I'm definitely sucker free.
What's the crew think about the Niners moving to Santa Clara? Do they still back them, or was that weak?
Yeah. Nah, we ain't gonna never. That ain't nothing. That's a hop, skip, and a jump. It's still Frisco to us. Okay. You know, because all from here to San Jose, Santa Clara, all that rep Frisco hard, or only rep 49ers hard. So that's not a thing. They still San Francisco 49ers. It'd have been different if they had changed their name to the Santa Clara 49ers. We'd have felt some type of way. As long as that SF logo still on the side of that helmet, and that ain't no thing. We all one. We all rep.
Yeah, the catch is forever.
Yeah, it's forever. It's forever.
What about the weed game? You've been in it for a long time. Now it's legal. How does that change? Are you getting any partnerships? You have your own brand or anything?
Yeah, we got our own brand, the Ruthless brand. It's
sick.
Yeah, we got the Ruthless brand. It's called we got Ruthless Runts under our umbrella right now. We got this other strand called Ruthless GMO. It's a garlic mushroom onion cookie. And we're gonna launch. Actually, we got a couple weeks. I don't want to just put a date on it just yet, but I teamed up with these guys called Buddy Indoor Natural. And man, we done put it together. We got the site. They could check us out on IG at at Ruthless Buddy Line. It's RBL, but it stands for Ruthless Buddy Line. Instead of Ruthless by Law. So BUDDY line. So, but we're on Instagram, Ruthless Buddy Line, and also we go Monday. It's a business partner of mine got me to link up with these people out here called Sunset Connect. They did some stuff with San Quinn. They got a legacy. It's called a Legends. They got a Legends line, and we about to make a blueberry bluebird flavor that we finna put together, and that should be dropping real soon. So I'll go do some taste tests Monday and see what we can work with. So that's in motion. We already got the packaging packaged up, ready to go. Okay. That's separate from my own Ruthless Buddy line, but we doing joint ventures with a few people, and that's one of them. But Quinn stuff just launched, is in stores right now. It's called what is it called? I'm the Quinn or something like that. His line. And it's dope. It's actually dope. And I think they finna try to get with Andre Nicotina too. They doing all Legends of Frisco.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's real dope. Yeah, real dope.
Okay.
Sunset Connect. Shout out to Sunset Connect for making it happen. So Beyonce them over there. So yeah, they doing their thing, man.
So you're staying busy?
Oh yeah, I'm been staying busy, man. Between me working on my book and man, I'm actually finished. I'm just proofreading it, going through.
Oh, you're putting out a book?
Yeah, it's called A Part of Survival. I took the title from my last song on my last album. On the first album. It's called A Part of Survival, From the Block to the Booth. And just telling about, a lot of stuff we talked about. I go a little more in depth on a lot of things, relationships with the dudes I fell out with on Harbor, and the music game, me, how I got in it from the beginning to all the stuff I went through with the Sunnydale Fillmore, gang wars, all that. So I've just got it all in writing, broke a lot of stuff down. And I just did the photo shoot for it a week ago. So we knocking that out, trying to get the cover and the spine done.
Sick,
and, we're trying to get it out for at least, if not for the 30-year anniversary, a little bit before it. But next year is our 30-year anniversary. But that's kind of far away for me. So we so far ahead that we might end up just dropping that. And then I might just package up and do a whole nother special edition packaging for the 30-year anniversary. But I got that done. I'm working on a soundtrack to that for the book. So, but I got an album done right now. It's called Black Caesar, and real dope album. Got like 17 songs on it. People gonna be shocked on this album, man. I ain't got too many features. I got Larry June on there, Keek the Sneak. And pretty much that's it as far as known names. Everybody else is just my original players that I got on there, from Terminator to Motor Hustler from NOH. And that's it's pretty much all me, you know what I mean? And it's dope. I think it's my best work yet. I think people are gonna be real surprised on how I'm coming on this album, man. I'm talking my shit, weed songs, the whole nine. So I'm trying to figure out a way to start getting stuff out, because it's different now. I'm used to the last time I was in it in 2012, you kind of package your stuff up, get your CDs, get you a budget, get a snipe campaign, get posters, flyers, flats. Now these dudes kind of leak songs. They kind of play snippets on IG, and also I'm trying to figure out how to attack it to let people try to hear what I'm working with. I don't want to waste just any of the music just yet. So but I'm ready to go. The album cover, everything, sitting on that. I'm can't wait to start leaking that. And we also got a bunch of animated videos we're doing. We're trying to bring out all our old music. So we got a Bluebird video I'm sitting on right now, ready to release it. I'm gonna get that going probably another week. It's really dope.
Right.
So I'm trying to bring Mr. C back to life and Hitman through animation. So I got a dope guy I ran into who man, dude is nice, really nice. So we got Bluebird out the way. We working on A Lesson to Be Learned, and we working on Remind Me. And then we work on a couple songs from the Hitman project. But yeah, we not stopping, man. We finna touch on both of these albums. We're gonna drop a lot of animated videos with me and Mr. C. And in the meantime, I'm about to start shooting a couple of my own videos for my solo projects. So I've been staying busy, on top of licensing deals and stuff like that. So this ain't letting up. This ain't gonna stop.
For something like writing a book on the history of your life, which obviously has got a lot of crazy shit, do you need to get a pretty good lawyer to read through it to make sure that you don't I imagine telling some of your stories are I can't be a rat and I can't get into jail, but I want to tell you what's up.
Now, see, what I did was I went down and I just put it down raw myself. I worked with this guy who grew up over there with me, and he put out about 6-7 books. So what we did was we just went in, did everything. That's why what I'm doing now with the proofreading. Okay. Certain things I don't have to have names, or if it's pertaining to a murder, we just ain't gonna talk about it, or we might refer to it. Like Mr. C got killed, but we ain't gonna say who did it and this and that, like snitching. Or even like when I got shot that day, I know who was out there, who was the guys who was fighting with me out there fighting the Sunny dudes, but you kind of got to put it in a way where you telling your side. I was out there with a few of my partners, few OGs, and we did this and that. So you got to rephrase it in a different way where you're not just saying, oh, it was me and Tom and Dick and Joe, and we was all like, because they might not want to be in there. It's like, bro, why are you telling everybody I was there in the car with you? And so I did all that. So it ain't nothing where it's going to be incriminating or anything like that. So that's why I went through, cleaned it up, and it's going to be a good read. A lot of stuff people already know. Like I said, I just go a little more in depth on it and got a little bit more sauce to it. But yeah, it's all real. And it's nothing that's going to get nobody sent to jail. We can't do that. And I damn sure can't incriminate myself. So if it's just pertaining to shootings, yeah, we talk about it. But if it's pertaining to murders and a lot of that stuff, we kind of left alone, or we kept it short, sweet, maybe spoke on it, but going into details and all that, nah, we're not doing too much of that. Okay. Don't implicate whether it's an enemy or whether it's somebody we consider a friend or a foe. Vice versa. We don't want to have nobody looking crazy up in there. So yeah,
absolutely. Yep. Well, fuck, dude. Really stoked to have you here today. This is I've done 130 episodes or something, and this is highlight for sure. Really stoked on that. We always end the show with whoever the guest is, drop in any song, could be yours, could be just one you like in general, whatever. So that's kind of how we can just drop the needle and fucking bounce out of here.
Man, that's if it's gonna come in later on, I'd rather be a part of survival. Hey, so that's the book title, man. Let's cue that up and get that part of survival up in there, man. And I think that'll be fitting, and being that's gonna be the book, that's that one, man.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, thanks again so much. And please reach out if there's some shit that I can help promote. I got my finger on the skateboarding pulse, and I know everybody loves your shit. So,
man, I need that Thrasher box though. My kids will go crazy, man. My little niece, man, she took all my skateboards that I got. I got 2 surviving on my wall right now that I had to actually hang up so she can't get to them. But she done took everything I got, but she loved it though. Yeah. Came back. I'm like, man, what the hell happened to the bottom? She said, they gonna look pretty forever. We be, I guess they do all their little tricks and everything, sliding on the bottom of the boards. And I was like, man, I would throw it up. All the stickers I had on the bottom of it, man, she done did her thing. So,
hey, well, good talking to you, man. I really appreciate it.
For sure, man. Peace. Much love.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Talkin Schmit. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. When you subscribe, you'll get notifications every Tuesday of new episodes the minute they become available. Also, please leave reviews and a 5-star rating. It's the best way to help the show grow. All of the episodes will always remain free, but if you would like to help support the show, you can do so at TalkinSchmit.com, where you can pick up some merchandise like t-shirts, beanies, hats, and stickers. The website has an entire archive of all of the episodes, with extra photos and videos. Email us with any suggestions, comments, or ways that the show may have improved your life at talkinschmit@gmail.com. All interviews are conducted, edited, and produced by Schmitty. The intro music is Mary's Cross by the band Nature. Very special shout out goes to the executive director, Sharal Camisa.
Shout out.
Love it!
This is Talking Schmit, where the Rolodex is deep, but the conversation is deeper.